Welp, here we are on YouTube. How's it going, Ryan?
Great, Nathan. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, actually. Thank you
That's
for
wonderful
asking.
to hear. I'm so happy to hear this. Makes me very happy. So, Nathan, we've got a Patreon request from one of our patrons who goes by the name Slightly All the Time. So, what do you think of when you hear that?
I think
1, 2, 3. My girl wants to
slightly all the time, slightly all the time, slightly all the time. My girl wants to
slightly all the time.
Slightly all the time.
Okay, that's horrible. Now, if you want us to do requests to your songs, give us some money and come to Patreon or PayPal. We'll do it for you because this is the kind of quality we do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is from Slightly All the Time. Wants us to listen to the band Sun City Girls, which we've done before, and I think we quite enjoyed them. I think they were like a ska rock punk sound to them. They were different, I believe, if I remember correctly.
I have a feeling we're thinking two different things.
Very well could be. So disregard everything I just said, and let's just listen to this song. I know we've done this band before, but...
We have done this band before, but I don't think
You're right.
It's a different band.
Okay. And I believe the song...
I remember. I remember.
Okay.
The last time we did this band, I wasn't super impressed with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
recall that. It's like most of the songs we do. Okay, so... Nathan's like the Simon Cowell of our channel. Yeah, I've heard better. Go back to bus driving.
Yeah, okay. That's exactly how I sound. Okay. I'm ready to do this.
The song's called Apna Desh, and I believe it is actually a cover of another song, by the same title. So I don't know who the original artist is. We barely know who this band is, of course, but this is a cover version of that song. So let's hear their rendition of Apna Desh.
All right.
Shamnami, go go go. Sabo do sabi do jata hey. Kanami, gazena. Basa do sabi do jata hey. Kolasi, solebo. Da 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 si do do jata hey. Aku hi, aku mi. Da 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 si do do jata hey. Shamnami, go go go. Kaise no sabi le jata hai. Kose me, hua se na. Na pese na bi le jata hai.
Interesting. I know that here's a lot of different thoughts in my head because of like you and I we just listened to doesn't really matter which band because I don't want people to it doesn't really matter, but we listened to a band that we quite enjoy. They play good rock, it's just good good fun rock, easy to listen to, easy to like right away, even if you're unfamiliar with their song, you just go and you listen. And that's neither good nor bad in the sense of what makes talent or not talent. And I know this falls under the genre of experimental rock. It's a type of rock or avant-garde. So according to Wikipedia, this album, just so you know, it's their 10th studio album, if you can believe it, and it's considered avant-garde. The album's called 330,003 Cross-Dressers from Beyond the Rig Vita.
That's pretty avant-garde.
Yeah, it's 127 minute long album. And this is the third track. It's Apna Desh is Hindu or Hindi for own country in English, own country. The arrangement is a traditional arrangement apparently. So that's the cover. So I don't know if he's actually singing, the singer. I think the singer's name is Alan Bishop. I don't know if he's singing in Hindi. It sounds like he might be, so I guess that's kind of impressive. But it's considered experimental rock, avant folk. Okay, so it's not my cup of tea.
Sure.
Meaning, like, I'm not going to put this in. I can't drive listening to this music, or I can't, like, go for a run or do a workout. I wouldn't be able to show this. Like, I don't know if I could, like, show this to anybody personally, and even if I knew I loved it, I would have to understand that this isn't going to tickle. It tickles a certain group of people's fancy. That's all.
Here's where I would show it. Okay, there is one condition when I would show this. If we're having a conversation about avant-garde, and everyone's showing like, well, what do you think of this kind of out there? I'd be like, no, well, we just did a reaction to this song that I was kind of like, it wasn't my cup of tea, but this is,
right.
Is this avant-garde? Like almost like we're trying to figure out what avant-garde is. Having said that, my question comes to, is there a point?
I don't know what it is. So experimental rock is just that it pushes the boundaries of sound or music. It's almost like this is not a slight on these guys, and I feel bad because we've got a request from one of our patrons, and I never like. But the thing is, we have to keep it real. That's what we do on this channel. We don't lie to our audience or to those who even give us money because we don't want to. We actually don't want to encourage songs that we don't necessarily like to be kept. Be kept given to I'd rather just tell the truth and just say, hey, this isn't something we enjoyed, but it doesn't mean we hate it. It just means it's considered music, but at the same time, it's not music that I'm like, oh yeah, it doesn't make me feel like anything. I'm more like trying to understand it. Maybe it takes multiple listens. I was trying to listen to different pieces going on. I mean, there's some parts I kind of liked when they were singing together in that kind of a traditional way they were singing, and there were some parts where it was more traditional rock where you could just glean some parts of it, but then it would just change, and I was just like, I don't know what you're doing. So experimental rock, also called avant rock, is a subgenre of rock music that pushes the boundaries of common composition and performance techniques, or which experiments with the basic elements of the genre. So artists aim to liberate and innovate. So that's fair. I mean, if that's the case, that they did that.
I guess what my question was is, with avant-garde as a direction for art, when it pushes the boundaries, it explores the boundaries, and then something breaks through and it actually becomes popularized, or it becomes it turns into mainstream. Not that it needs to be, but that's where we get jazz from, that's where we get blues, rock. Right. That's how all of that has evolved over time. My question just goes back to, it's one thing, a good example is a band that we've listened to, Buckethead, where it is avant-garde. It's experimenting with things. There's certain sounds and ideas that are being toyed around with. You can certainly feel that the boundaries are being stretched. Personally, with that song, I don't know if that was a boundary stretching song. It sounded more like almost like an old song being played, and just that's all it sounded like to me.
Fair. That's fair. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's our honest review and reaction. I mean, it's experimental rock isn't something I really want to explore further. And that maybe that song wasn't the greatest example. I dislike rock and roll. I admit I like. I'm not a big fan of prog music either for that reason. I just don't like. I don't like being confused by music.
Sure.
I'm confused.
To follow up on it, I'm saying this to our patron who submitted this. I'm curious to know, is there a song from these guys that does that does actually stretch those boundaries rather than just kind of like the last song that I kind of said this about the last song, it felt like it was kind of lazy rock. It didn't feel like it was stretching any boundaries. Is there a song here that could demonstrate their ability to really experiment with it rather than just sort of like make music? If that makes sense. Yeah. That's what I'm curious about. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you slightly all the time. It was an experience, and that's the thing. I actually like that we listen to stuff that I would not otherwise listen to. It doesn't mean everything will grab us, but I still like the experience. Like I want to make that clear. I enjoy the experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
thanks
see you in the next
all
one.
the time.